Check the mic and make sure it sound right.
Hi, I'm DK Will. This is DK Will Talk About It, and I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to start out with an excerpt from one of the prior videos that I did. I did it back in May of last year, May 2022. And the title of it is, it's about gold and a GCR. This is bigger than the Iraqi dinar. And I've been saying that for a long time. So I'm going to cover a couple of current articles, but I want to start this video out and highlight that prior video, because that prior video, I watched it myself before doing this work here. And I really encourage you guys to take a look at that. I will put the tag up on the top there to show up somewhere in this area so that you can remember to click on that and watch that video too. It is so appropriate. But listen to what was said in that video. Let's listen in. But yeah, China's involved too. Look here, China is making serious moves in global currency markets. Here is a key phrase, folks, and this is from January of this year. The world, which would include Iraq, edges closer to a new monetary system. Folks, this is bigger than Iraq. And this is absolutely bigger than Iraq. I did a second video on Iraq, and it was entitled Throwing Bricks and Blockchain at the Iraqi Dinar. This is the thumbnail for that video that was done back in June of 2022. And just as the prior video, it's about gold and a GCR, you'll be seeing the thumbnail for that as this video goes on. That's the handshake video for the BRICS nations. But that heads into the way that the BRICS nations are impacting the monetary system. And after reviewing this information, I really encourage you to, take a little time and look at it. I might even make a playlist out of just this topic because it is so apropos and timely for today. But it is showing that the BRICS nations are significantly impacting the monetary system, and even gives a little more clarity on how. So I encourage you to look at them. Excuse me. And we're going to go over some recent articles that address that. So let's move on to those recent articles. And you can see here the article that I've referenced from watcher.guru. It was let out the 17th of 2023, just a few days ago. And you'll notice it says BRICS. And then right after BRICS, folks, those who are in the Iraqi dinar, it says BRICS, Iraq bans the US dollar. Egypt ditches USD. France and Pakistan pay with the Chinese yuan. Let's read the article. It's a short read. It says here, Iraq's Interior Ministry placed a ban on US dollar transactions across the country in a move to strengthen the Iraqi dinar. The country wants to control the fluctuating black market exchange rate that plagued forex prices for Chinese yuan and USD. The move will also help boost its native currency, as the US dollar will take a step back nationwide. The decision to ban the dollar comes at a time when Iraq expressed its interest to join the BRICS nations. Iraq would accept the soon-to-be-released BRICS currency to settle international trade and sideline the USD. That is a very impactful statement with just the BRICS nations alone. And I'm going to give an excerpt from another video right prior to moving on to the next article to show how that has mushroomed. But keep in mind as we move forward in recording this that I want you to keep in mind and consider the concept of supply and demand. And supply and demand is an economic process and term, but I don't want to get rid of this. Let's go over here, and you can see here just a brief history. This is not an economics class, but this article talks about the law of supply and demand in economics and how it works. And it says combines two fundamental economic principles describing how changes in the price of a resource. In this case, we're going to talk about the price of a currency, the Iraqi dinar. Commodity or product affected supply and demand, and the US dollar. As the price increases, supply rises. As the price increases, supply rises while demand declines. Conversely, as the price drops, supply constricts while demand grows. Levels of supply and demand for varying prices can be plotted on a graph as curves. And that was the graph that we saw here. They're straight lines, but they're called, so this is the supply curve. You see the S here, and this is the demand curve. You see the D here. And what this is called in the middle is equilibrium. That's where everything's pretty much balanced with the supply and demand. But as one moves along the curve of the other, prices can go up over here with the P, or quantities can go up or down, and that affects the price. So that's it. That's as big as this economics lesson is going to get. The happy campers that you see here are the BRICS nations. In the middle, we have Brazil. Next to him on his right, our left, you have Russia. And then you have India on his left. And then you have China, far right, our left. And then you have South Africa, far right, his left. Those are the BRICS nations. And for the sake of time, I can tell you that collectively, when you add up their reported gold reserves, you end up with over 5,000 tons of gold in comparison to the US's reported 8,100 tons. Keeping in mind, too, that South Africa is a gold mining nation. But beyond that, when you look at the list of countries' GDPs, and for the sake of time, I'm going to wrap it up a little more quickly. But you can see the United States estimated GDP by the IMF in the year 2021 was almost $23 trillion. But the thing about it is, when you start adding up the BRICS nations and you add their collective economies together, such as China's $16.86 trillion, and then you go to India's $2.9 trillion, you go to Russia's 1.6, Brazil's 1.6, 4 and 5-ish, and then you go to South Africa's, which was 0.4 something. You actually end up with a greater GDP than the US. You end up in the neighborhood of 23.5. You end up with a formidable foe to a hegemony, to a monopoly, to a dominance. And so when it comes to Iraq and making that transition of the monetary system, for those who do not believe the monetary system is undergoing a change, I've shown it to you here. And trust me, if you go into the blockchain technologies and cryptocurrencies and XRP and Ripple's partnerships and Hashgraph, Hedera's partnerships and Quant and all of them, you really become aware of how much the monetary system is changing. And here you'll see evidence of one gigantic change, and that's going to be the subject of the next article that I read. Those BRICS nations, the 5 that I showed originally, that were encroaching upon the US's hegemony of the dollar and even its GDP, has been adding nation after nation after nation. Now, keep in mind that also adds GDP after GDP after GDP, and that also adds gold reserves after gold reserves after gold reserves. And as a consequence, keeping in mind what I've said so many times, you can't trade maple leaves for gold leaves. And as long as the U.S. is holding on to maple leaves and other nations are going to gold-backed money and gold leaves, as well as reducing and banning the use of the dollar, that economics lesson that we had begins to have its impact. Because as you are fully aware, if you have a huge supply of something, which is most certainly true of the United States dollar, it's all over the globe, and it's declining as we speak, but it's all over the globe in reserves because it's the world reserve currency. But when it stops being the reserve currency, what we have is a glut of useless money floating around that has to be reduced in cost, or it just reduces in cost as that demand curve declines. The supply is too much, therefore the price declines. And the dollar becomes more and more worthless. Let's look at that second article. And that article, which was a link off of the prior article where it showed that Iraq has banned the use of the US dollar, it says here, BRICS, again, 30 countries participate to ditch the US dollar as the global reserve currency, June 15, 2023 article. So as we can see here, it's clearly evident that if you are ditching something, the demand on that supply and demand curve, the demand is decreasing. But the quantity of the US dollar is everywhere. So there's a glut of US dollars. So as a consequence, if the demand goes down, the dollar value goes down. It just makes perfect sense. Because now you have fewer people want it. And if you had, say, you wanted to sell some styrofoam cups, and you put the styrofoam cup out and say, styrofoam cups, $10 a piece, you ain't gonna sell a single styrofoam cup. But if you sell them out, put them out and say styrofoam cups a penny a piece, 50 cents for 100, then you'll have a use for it. Because now you've created a demand for your glut of a supply. And so that's what's going to happen to the US dollar. But let's read this article. It says here, a growing number of countries are coming forward to join BRICS and accept the new currency for global trade. The South African ambassador, Anil Sukla, whatever, I'm sorry, sir, hinted that the alliance could expand this year, becoming BRICS Plus. The move could add pressure on the US dollar as developing nations would end their reliance on the greenback. The global financial order could tilt from the west to the east, creating a new multipolar economy. And I'm sure you recall I just did a video about Kenya in Africa stopping the use of the dollar. Folks, this is going on all over the place. So when you consider some of the past videos that I've done, you can see where the dollar value is going down. Now, the importance of this article is with Iraq is not only is the dollar going down, the dollar has been depegged. The dinar has been depegged from the dollar. So now it's free roaming. It's free roaming. So being in a country in reconstruction in a rather wealthy country, that value of that Iraqi dinar is free to float or be determined or revalued to whatever it's really worth without consideration for the US dollar. And the US dollar is going to decline in value as, let me clarify, as long as it remains a fiat currency that does not join what we began with earlier in this video, the nations that are going gold back. So the conspiracy theory is absolutely no longer conspiracy theory, but all these developments actually do help the progress of the Iraqi dinar. So yes, folks, this is absolutely bigger than the Iraqi dinar. We just have to accept that. So when you're looking at Iraqi dinar about elections and all these other things, yeah, those are portions of what the Gesara and Nasara language is, and that's okay. That's conspiracy, right? So was gold-backed currency until today. So we have to open our minds, and more importantly, after we move the walls out of our minds, we have to open our eyes. Take off the monoculars, take off the scopes, and get you some panoramic view. And I've been saying this from early on. It's not about the tree, it's about the forest. Look at the entire landscape, and you'll see what's really going on. And so I want to add here that if you think the U.S. is going to take this laying down, you got another thing coming. That made me think of a song. Because that's not going to happen either. But one thing is absolutely certain. Just like everybody else is making changes, that old greenback's going to have to start making some changes too. So yes, you can be sure that the U.S. isn't going to take it lying down. And actually, the United States has been in process all along. And you might want to refer to a couple of my other videos. And really, I think it'll be not only beneficial, but enjoyable to watch them and open the mind and change the paradigm to see what I think, at least from my perspective, is really going on. But XRP, I said the one with the mushroom cloud, that's another thumbnail you might look for. It's called World War III XRP is the bomb. It's from July of 2021. And then the other one from June 2022, XRP, the Trojan horse of the Ukraine-Russia show. Notice I said show and not war, because it's just a show, and the pawns are being killed for the show. But you might find out how XRP is the Trojan horse of the United States in battling this decline in the hegemony of the US dollar, because as XRP and the on-demand liquidity and XRPL expands, and if we manage to successfully keep it as an American company, then all those BRICS countries that are utilizing the process, and don't think that they're not, I mean, there's plenty of videos out there, which is why I cover alternative material. But it's plenty of countries that are willingly accepting the XRP usage and the XRPL in their transition to a gold-backed currency. And that's the other thing you might want to consider is July 2022 video. It says, let's throw some gold bricks at it, still in reference to the monetary system and the Iraqi dinar. So folks, the changes are coming as anticipated, and I'm hoping to refer a lot of folks to my prior videos. I need to say something about if you like and subscribe, please subscribe and like and comment earlier in the videos, but I just thought about it now. So if you made it this far, I absolutely appreciate it. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Please hit the bell. Please make a comment, even if you just say a good Philly yo. I'm DK Will. This is DK Will. Talk about it. And I've talked about it. Have a wonderful day.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right.